Okay, so this is the second presentation. In this session, I'll be discussing the life management skills and everyday problem-solving skills in middle-aged adults in the United States. So when I first got to the Frankfurt airport, I had to figure out how to take the train, how to take the bus. So I used the Googles, but I couldn't figure that out, so I had to ask somebody at the station. So this kind of like a common issues in everyday life, that's a very important part of our, what we call IADL, instrumental activities of daily living. So this IADL usually determines your autonomy and independence in later life. So I want to bring in a little bit of aging ideas. Again, my name is Takayama Shita. I'm a faculty of sociology and gerontology at the University of Maryland, Baltimore County. So first, I want to just briefly talk about digital technology-rich society. So virtually all domains of our lives nowadays have been digitized. So it's hard for us to find anything that's not digitized or and has nothing to do with digital technology directly or indirectly. And without sufficient digital skills, it's difficult for us to participate in a society in terms of social, economic, and cultural activities. And some of the examples that I showed you about taking a bus, use public transportation kind of things, everyday life problems includes that you need to manage your health record, health status online. I believe many of you do online shopping. And I recently completed the short certificate program that was all online. So adult education is now online. And I had to purchase a flight ticket to Germany using the online travel booking sites. And then I was able to withdraw cash at the airport ATM directly from the US bank, and I used my smartphones, the banking app to check the balance, etc. So all those things, the digital technology is making our lives a bit more efficient. And more businesses and services adopt automated systems. So sometimes we have to talk to the machines and the AI systems on the phone instead of humans. It's going to be much more difficult for us to find in-person services near future, if not already happening. And another important point to consider is that digital technology evolves so rapidly so that what we know today, what kind of skills we have today, may be outdated tomorrow or by next week, sometime soon. So it is important for us to be engaged in continuous learning activities. Now, sort of shifting the discussion to the aging side, this can be a bit depressing, but that's the reality. So the aging is associated with cognitive and physical declines, and this kind of decline could occur on average as early as early 20s. And because of these declining cognitive and physical functions, we tend to face more challenges with ADL, IADL in later life. And even the problem-solving skills from the latest PIAAC data, we usually have the peak of the problem-solving skills around mid-20s, and then it kind of goes down on average. But there's a huge variation within age group. And another important thing is the aging is somehow associated with lower participation rate in learning and educational activities. If you look at the data from 2023 PIAAC, younger populations, younger age group 35, this is the typo, 25 to 34. So this is the no participation. So taking the complement of that, about 70% of young age group participate in non-formal or formal educations. But when it comes to older age group, 56 to 64, more than half of them have no participation in non-formal or formal educations. Even though in the older age group, the interests and the needs for learning and education becomes more diverse. So some older age group, they tend to use what we call informal learning approach to get what they need, but still the lower participation rate in non-formal and formal education among older adults is a concern. So putting these two things together, digital technology could be an advantage for aging populations. So there was an example of if you have a mobility issues, for example, you may not be able to drive or take the public transportation to the grocery stores and then carry all the heavy grocery back home. But using the online grocery delivery service, for example, you might be able to manage some of the mobility issues. But at the same time, some older adults taking advantage of the digital technologies, but some others don't. So that might increase the disparities, within group disparities and within group digital divide in later life. But as I showed you, that in accordance with aging, the problem-solving skills sort of declines on average. So the digital skill may decline when needed more in later life. So in this study, given this background, I refer to the two theoretical perspectives. One is what we call the selection, optimization, and the compensation theories. So this is the theory describing the adaptation process in later life. The selection refers to the process of prioritizing essential activities. So IADL, without those, it's hard to manage our lives. Those becomes more essential in later life instead of going out to the bar with your friends. And the optimization process is more like an adjustment to these activities. So if you have a mobility issues, you need to factor in more time, you need to allocate more time and resource for the transportation and then everyday activities, that type of adjustment. The compensation refers to sort of like if you can't drive or use public transportation anymore, you may need to find alternative ways, asking help or using online options. The second theoretical perspective was that practice engagement theory. So this has been already discussed. So essentially, these are the reciprocal relationship between skill use and the skill improvement. And the reason why I think the middle age is a critical period when it comes to the everyday problem-solving skills and the digital skills is that when it gets into the older age, it becomes more difficult to learn new things. And unfortunately, this is on average, many data support that. So it is better and more proactive to establish everyday problem-solving skills as well as digital skills before getting into older age. So my research question is very simple. So is regular use of digital problem-solving skills associated with skills proficiency in middle-aged and adults in United States? Very briefly, the methodological approach. I used the PIAAC US data from 2023 wave. I define the middle age as 50 plus because I'm almost there, but not quite there yet. I'm just kidding. So this is based on empirical distribution, about 1/3 of the age breakdown. So I thought this was reasonable. The final sample size was about 1,200, and then outcome variable was everyone knows, adaptive problem-solving skills proficiencies. I use this measure as the proxy of everyday problem-solving skills. And the predictor has two main ones. One is the life management skill use. So this includes using the digital map on your smartphone. The other one is the online service use. If you use the online shopping site, that's part of it. If they use more than once a week, I called it 1, yes. If they used less than once a week, I called it 0, no. And given my outcome variable was the continuous and the ratio variable, I used the linear regression models, and I adopted the Stata repest package to incorporate the 10 plausible values, sampling weights, and replicate weights. So the results show that 66% and 61% of respondents used the digital life management skills and the online service. But there was also interesting correlations. So for those who used life management skills tend to have much greater problem-solving skills on average, 251 points out of 500, compared to 220 among those who didn't use life management skills. And the same thing can be said to online service use. And this is sort of extracted regression table. So I only listed the statistically significant findings. The digital life management skill use, online service use are both positively associated with problem-solving skills. In addition, higher educational attainment, higher income are related to problem-solving skills. And so this finding is different from the general population, but I'm focusing on the middle-aged population, so there might be different dynamics. So given, I know this is the cross-sectional data analysis, but given the theoretical proposition and the empirical findings from this study, I concluded that practice engagement makes your skills better in middle life. There's a good evidence to that. And this type of establishing problem-solving skills, digital skills in middle age, and also establishing the continuous learning behaviors in the middle age is a strategy to prevent digital divide in later life. And then according to the PIAAC level classifications, less than 226 points are considered low skills. And as I showed you earlier, people who didn't use digital life management skills and online service use, they tend to have much lower score than 226. So they are considered low skills. That could be a serious concern because according to the practice engagement theory, if you have lower skills, you are less likely to actually use that type of skills. And if you don't use that skills, your skills don't improve. So they might get into this negative, vicious cycle. So the middle age might be a good timing to break that cycle before getting into older age. So how do we actually improve problem-solving skills in second half of adult life? You can sort of refer to the sort of public health education approach from smoking or obesity. They have blasted all the information through policy, intervention, and the social marketing. I think we can consider something sort of that. And then also the technology providers, they need to consider user-friendly or age-appropriate design, such as simple user interface or embedded cybersecurity features. And adult education policy in the program can play two different roles. One is the continuous learning. So we need to keep pushing the idea of everything is a lifelong learning process. So even technologies, it's going to be more relevant in our older age. So we need to push continuous learning and educations. And then finally, the existing intervention tend to rely on more traditional teaching and the learning strategies like a pedagogy. So we may need to include what we call the geragogy. That's the study of learning and teaching among older populations into the existing intervention programs more explicitly. There are three limitations. So even though my theoretical position was that skill use and the skill proficiency has a reciprocal relationship, but my statistical model can only test one way, a part of it. So the findings might be somewhat limited. And also I used the general life management skill use and online service use. So I'm still not sure exactly what kind of life management skills or what type of online service skills matters more to problem-solving skills. And definition of middle age was somewhat arbitrary based on the empirical distributions. So, but I conducted sensitivity analysis at age 40, 45, 50, 55. Results seems to be almost consistent. So I decided that 50 years old is a reasonable age cutoff point. And two sort of simple but major contribution. So one, I provided out of this study, I provided new empirical evidence specifically for middle-aged adults. And then also using the PIAAC's rigorously assessed problem-solving skills is an advantage compared to previous studies. So in conclusion, I argue that practice and skills are closely related in the middle age. And middle age is a crucial period to ensure sufficient digital life management skills and problem-solving skills. And then as a community, as a society, we should start early to fill the skill gaps and the digital divide, and then establish learning behaviors throughout our adult life stages. So that's all I have for you. Thank you very much.